NFL free agency begins next week. So as per usual in the NFL offseason, we've got rumors that are starting already in early March. And A.J. Brown could be getting dealt very, very soon. We'll talk about those trade rumors as they are heating up and possibly to the Baltimore Ravens. After that, we're going to take a deep dive into the very interesting and unexpected hire the Baltimore Ravens made yesterday. We'll break down Nick Gill and what that addition to the staff means for the Ravens moving forward. Let's start with A.J. Brown, though, because we did get a new report on his availability from Jeff McLane, an insider for the Philadelphia Eagles. But where I want to start with this is with Brian Wacker, who writes for the Baltimore Sun, has covered the Baltimore Ravens for a very, very long time, because he quoted Jeff McLane's tweet just a couple of days ago that says the Eagles are assessing A.J. Brown's trade market. Just don't expect Howie Roseman to give him away. My column after a week of reporting on the possible trade at the NFL Combine. Brian Wacker quotes that tweet with Then he goes on to reply to that tweet by saying this would be a very Eric DeCosta move. One longtime agent familiar with the Ravens told me yesterday. Will depend on price, of course. Worth remembering, Rashod Bateman was nearly dealt last offseason, but Dallas and Baltimore were both stubborn over what the Ravens wanted. So Brian Wacker right there is reporting that an agent familiar with the Ravens told him last week at the Combine that the move for A.J. Brown, a trade for A.J. Brown, would be a very, quote, Eric DeCosta type move. And he does mention what almost went down between the Dallas Cowboys and Rashod Bateman last offseason, something that I feel like we kind of just glossed over. Like, we covered it, we talked about it from now and then, like from time to time, but like it really wasn't that big of a deal when you almost traded away Rashod Bateman, and now 50-50 hindsight with how his season was last year, you probably should have done it. Jordan Schultz was the one who reported it in May. Sources, during their pursuit of a receiver, the Cowboys also looked into a trade for Ravens wide receiver Rashod Bateman. Those talks didn't go far, and Dallas ultimately struck a post-draft deal with the Steelers for George Pickens. Dallas' search for another receiver was a months-long process. Nick Harris, then, a guy who covers the Dallas Cowboys, did confirm that, saying Bateman was an option that was sought out by Dallas ahead of the draft, and the two sides couldn't meet on an agreement. Pickens' talent paired up with price to acquire ended up being the more enticing option for the Cowboys. So we know that pretty much at this time last year, Eric DeCosta was not only shopping Rashod Bateman, but he was shopping around for deals to be made, trades to be made as well. And I would be shocked if we could not say the same thing about him at this time this year. A little bit more on Jeff McLane's article on A.J. Brown. But real quick, do you want the Ravens to trade for him? If you do, hit that thumbs up button, like today's video. And if you don't, tell me why down below in the comment section. Voice your opinion for me right now. All right, let's get into this report from Jeff McLane, a guy who has covered the Philadelphia Eagles for a very, very long time. Details a little bit of the timeline for A.J. Brown and what he expects Howie Roseman to do over the next week and a half. A lot has changed around Browns, Eagles, and Vrabel's Patriots a year later. And with Eagles general manager Howie Roseman unwilling to shut the door on Brown being obtainable for the right price, Vrabel's openness about his communication with the 28-year-old could be characterized as flirtatious. That is why a decision on Brown will be made seemingly sooner, as in the next 10 days, ahead of the official start of the league tampering period on May 9th, rather than later. At least that's the sense sources close to several Eagles with uncertain future have gotten from their conversations with the team this week. What Roseman is doing here is creating momentum and building a market that would draw in competing offers. All he needs is two interested teams to create leverage. 3 teams could get him close to the finish line depending upon the actual value he has assigned to Brown. Roseman's tactics are renowned. He'll set the cost much higher than prevailing wisdom says it should be. One NFL executive said he heard the Eagles were seeking a return that included both a first and second round draft pick. Whether accurate or not, it's a price tag already being floated within league's circles. I'll tell you right now, I would not do a first and a second. And what Jeff McLane talks about at the very beginning of that article is that Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots have reportedly been very, very interested in A.J. Brown. Obviously, Mike Vrabel coached him when he was with the Tennessee Titans, so a reunion there seems legitimate. It seems like something that isn't too far-fetched. But as for that trade price that McLane mentioned at the end of the video, a first and a second I would not do. I think A.J. Brown is a phenomenal player. I think he'd be wonderful to pair up with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, but he is getting a little bit older, and he comes with a little bit of drama as well. He could be a typical, prototypical wide receiver himself, throwing fits on the sideline, almost fighting with coaches. Now, I don't mind that too much when you've got a star, but I'm not going to give up a first and a second round pick for a guy his age who also brings that with him. My A.J. Brown trade idea, obviously, I'm the one who created it, so I personally think it's a really, really good idea. But the Ravens get A.J. Brown. Eagles, in return, get a second-round pick, and they get Rashod Bateman as well. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are willing to rely on Devontae Smith to be their wide receiver one, so why not pair him up with a guy in Rashod Bateman who has had a history of being a wide receiver too? Now, did he have the best year in 2025? No, he didn't. Would this trade have definitely had a higher chance of going through if you did it last year? Yeah, of course. Maybe you have to pair in a 5th or a 6th round pick with this as well. But I do still believe Rashod Bateman is looked at among league circles as a serviceable wide receiver and a good wide receiver too. And you can just look at the film from 2025 and say, yeah, maybe he wasn't utilized to the best of his abilities. We know that Derrick Henry is doing his best job of recruiting A.J. Brown. We've talked about that ad nauseum over the last couple of months or so. They've kind of done some media stuff together, podcast appearances. They were on a Twitch stream together. Derrick Henry went on with Kay Adams and said, hey, we need A.J. Brown to come to the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, those two played football together with the Tennessee Titans. Just unbelievable bag fumble from the Tennessee Titans also. Just a little short. You had A.J. Brown, Mike Vrabel, and Derrick Henry, and somehow all three of those guys do not coach and or play for your football team. I digress. I think Lamar Jackson would love the addition of A.J. Brown, even if it's at the expense of losing Rashod Bateman. Frankly, I don't think Lamar Jackson would care one bit whatsoever because what A.J. Brown brings to this team is something Lamar Jackson has not had, okay? It is a undoubted wide receiver one, a big receiver on the outside. Because I really, really like Zay Flowers. I'm thankful for what Zay Flowers has done over his last 3 seasons at Baltimore. But I still think we're looking at it and saying, is he a wide receiver one? Is he one of the top guys in the league? Because personally, I don't think so. I think he's a wide receiver 1B. And while that's still a great guy, if you're debating with your boys in the office, with your friends, who are the top 15 best wide receivers in the league? Zay Flowers' name does not come up, okay? A.J. Brown's does. Then, of course, you got DeAndre Hopkins, who's about to be a free agent. Rashod Bateman, like we talked about, did not have a good year. Devontae Walker, for some reason, doesn't play. Hopefully that changes. And Wallace and Wester, both of them were non-factors this last year. Should the Ravens trade for A.J. Brown? Give me a yes or give me a no. Down below in the comment section, weigh in with your answer. We got more to discuss, talking about Nick Gill, brand new hire for the Ravens staff. But I do got to give a big shout out to our great friends over at PrizePicks. They are the reason you're watching today's video for 100% free. We appreciate them, and you should hang out with them. You should download the PrizePicks app because right now you can get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting, so don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports, anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If a player gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. We've got baseball season just around the corner, and here are my season-long PrizePicks projections. I took the more on Juan Soto, 37.5 home runs, the less on Paul Skeens, 2.65 ERA, and the more on Roman Anthony, 20.5 home runs for the Boston Red Sox. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Jamison Hensley is one of the ones who reported yesterday the Ravens named Dr. Nick Gill as the Vice President of Health and Performance. Gilly has spent more than 2 decades of elite high-performance experience, including nearly 20 years with the renowned New Zealand All Blacks rugby team. I looked into this hire a little bit more. Nick Gill published an article about a couple of months ago that has his top 10 training secrets. And I thought these were really, really cool. Focus on the big rocks of success. Stick to bread and butter training sessions. develop raw explosive power, stay lean with real food, develop talent, not just muscle, move your body better, sharpen your mind to get stronger, spice up training with science, max out your fitness with watt bikes, and foster a winning environment. I think this is a really, really cool move because I think that this is an edge that the Baltimore Ravens could have over other teams. And I love this decision by Steve Bisciotti because there are no salary cap when it comes to staff moves. There are no salary cap with things outside of players. If Steve Bisciotti wanted to, he could hire 3 general managers to all do one job and dominate the National Football League. Now, you could argue that no boat has 2 captains, right? No country has 2 presidents, so that probably would not be a good idea. But Steve Bisciotti has all the right in the world to make hires like this to help develop your players better. Because the best ability is availability, and the better you can develop these guys, your young guys, your veterans, keep them healthy, keep them strong, keep them performing, the better you're going to be down the stretch. Do you like this move? If you do, hit that thumbs up button, like today's video. Never would I have ever thought we're talking about a former rugby health science hire here in the Baltimore Ravens rundown. But hey, that's where life takes us on March 3rd, 2026. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us and spending your time on your Tuesday mornings. We will be back with another video either early tomorrow morning or later in the day. We'll kind of see how this day goes. But regardless, make sure you guys got me followed on socials. Make sure you lock us in. Hit that subscribe button down below. Daily Ravens coverage right here on the channel.